Boss, this ginger ale tastes extra good tonight, and I brought a heavy question with me.
You do look extra thoughtful tonight, Claire, so what is circling in the curious mind of yours?
I keep seeing kids with tablets and phones, and I heard someone say that we are outsourcing childhood to AI, and it scared me.
That is a strong phrase, and a good one to unpack slowly, so what do you think it might mean?
I picture parents handing a screen to a child and letting apps and algorithms do the babysitting instead of talking with them.
That is one part of it, because many families lean on technology to keep a child busy, calm, or quiet when life feels overwhelming.
Is it always bad, though, because some of those tools honestly look helpful, especially if both parents are working long hours?
You're right that it is not simply good or bad, since many tools solve real problems, but they also shape habits in ways we barely notice.
So when people say we are outsourcing childhood, are they saying that software is slowly taking over things that used to be human jobs?
Exactly, since things like comfort, play, stories, and even moral guidance can start drifting from parents, friends, and teachers toward apps and AI systems.
That makes me feel uneasy because childhood already feels fragile, and I do not want kids to grow up managed by notifications.
Your instinct is wise, since the danger is not one big disaster, but thousands of tiny shifts that change what feels normal for a child.
Can we start with the parents? Because I imagine that raising a child today is so intense that any AI help feels like a life raft.
Modern parents often feel squeezed by work costs, social pressure, and constant fear about safety, so an app that promises calm sleep or better grades becomes very attractive.
I saw an ad for a baby monitor that tracks sleep patterns and breathing and gives a health score, and it sounded both comforting and creepy.
Those devices can be reassuring when they work well, but they also train parents to watch graphs instead of the subtle signals of the baby in front of them.
So instead of feeling the rhythm of the child, they start trusting a chart and a push alert more than their own senses.
Yes, and over time they can slowly weaken confidence, because if the chart disagrees with the parent's intuition, the parent may assume that the chart is always right.
I can see how that might happen, since I already feel that way about health apps on my phone that act like tiny judges.
Now imagine that same logic extended through the whole of childhood, where every step from first nap to exam scores is measured, nudged, and corrected by software.
It sounds like turning a child into a little project dashboard with graphs instead of a mysterious, messy human life.
Well said, and that is where outsourcing begins, because the parent may gradually ask the system what the child needs instead of starting with the child and the relationship.
But I guess many parents would say that they are too exhausted to do everything alone, and that tech is simply another tool.
That is fair, which is why this story is not about blaming parents, but about asking who designs the tools and what their hidden goals might be.
I have a feeling that the hidden goal is almost always to keep attention glued to a screen, because that is how the companies earn money.
From many platforms, that is exactly right, because the main objective is engagement, and not the long-term growth of a specific child.
So that means kids grow up in a world where the easiest thing is always the next video or game, and it is chosen by an algorithm that never gets tired.
Yes, and the algorithm becomes a kind of invisible teacher, showing what is funny, attractive, admired, or shameful long before the child can question it.
I never thought about it that way, but the feed really is like a silent teacher that never asks for permission.
It rewards certain jokes, certain looks, certain ways of talking, and children quickly learn which kind of performance brings the biggest response.
If you are a shy kid and the only place you feel seen is inside that feed, then of course you keep going back to it.
Exactly, and over time, the child may trust the algorithm more than their own feeling of enough, because the feed always promises one more quick dose of stimulation.
So we are outsourcing not only babysitting but also taste and curiosity about the world.
You could say that, because when a system constantly chooses the next thing for you, the skill of going out to look for ideas by yourself can fade.
What about AI chatbots that talk with kids? Because I know adults who lean on them when they feel lonely or anxious.
Those chatbots are becoming part of many lives, and some teenagers already see them as safe places where they can vent without fear of being judged.
I can imagine a kid who fights with their friends, and instead of talking it out, they go straight to an AI that always listens and never gets mad.
In the short term, that can feel soothing, since the machine never rolls its eyes or shares secrets, but in the long term it can make real conflict feel even scarier.
Because the bot will never say that it is hurt or tired, so the child never has to practice repair and apology.
Exactly, and deep friendship grows through misunderstandings and repair, and not only through being perfectly heard every time.
So if a kid tells their deepest secrets to a chatbot first, then maybe the bond with parents and friends becomes weaker without anyone noticing.
That is one of the main worries, since the first listener in your life shapes how you think trust should feel.
Are there positive sides, though, because I do not want to paint AI as a pure villain while some kids might get real comfort from it?
You're right to look for the nuance, because for a child who feels completely alone, a kind chatbot may be the first place they feel safe enough to put feelings into words.
So the problem is not that the child talks to AI, but that they have no human to turn to after that or alongside that.
Yes, and the healthiest pattern is probably when AI is one small extra ear, but not the main place where a child learns how to be understood.
This is heavier than I expected, and we are only talking about feelings and not homework yet.
Homework opens another big door, because AI systems are now good at solving problems and writing essays, which changes how children learn.
I wish I had that as a teenager, since I struggled with essays, and I would have been very tempted to let a system write them for me.
Many students feel exactly the temptation, and some already use AI to produce whole pieces of work, which means they skip the actual thinking and wrestling with ideas.
If that becomes normal, then teachers might start reading assignments that sound clever but do not show what the student truly understands.
That is already happening in some places, because the line between help and replacement is easy to cross when a tool feels like magic.
How can AI help with learning without becoming a crutch that weakens the muscles of the mind?
It helps when AI is used to explain something in a new way or to give hints, while the student still does the main work of connecting ideas and writing in their own voice.
So that would be more like a tutor who pushes you in the right direction instead of a ghostwriter who takes the exam for you.
Exactly, and in that healthy version the child still meets the challenge and grows stronger instead of outsourcing the effort itself.
I keep thinking about the word outsourcing because it sounds like a business contract, not a childhood.
It is a useful word here because it captures the moment when a person gives up a responsibility to a system that is easier, cheaper, or less emotional.
If I imagine a chart of childhood, there would be sections like play, learning, comfort, and discipline, and little arrows showing how much of each is done by people and how much by AI.
That is a clear image, and in many families those arrows are steadily moving toward technology without anyone sitting down to decide that this is the plan.
Sometimes it may even look good from the outside because the child seems calm, entertained, and productive while the apps keep everything smooth.
Yes, yet under the surface the child may not be practicing boredom, patience, conflict, or self-control, all of which used to be part of daily life.
You are saying that messy moments used to be training grounds, and now AI often cleans them up before the training can happen.
That is one way to see it, because a tantrum soothed by an instant cartoon or game is different from a tantrum held by a calm adult who helps the child name the feeling.
It makes me wonder what happens to resilience when every rough edge is padded by clever technology.
Resilience needs small, safe doses of difficulty, and if a child never bumps into those small difficulties, then the big ones later can feel enormous and impossible.
So it is not just that the child is entertained, but that the shape of their inner world changes because they face fewer slow, hard moments.
Exactly, and slow, hard moments are often where character grows through boredom, trying again, and forgiving and being forgiven.
Where do robots and smart toys fit into this picture, since I see ads for little companion robots for kids?
Those robots are designed to talk, play, and sometimes even show pretend emotions, and some children form very strong bonds with them.
If a robot is always kind and funny and never rejects you, then real classmates might start to look complicated and annoying.
That is a real possibility since a robot friend is simple, predictable, and available, while human friends are confusing, stubborn, and sometimes unkind.
But you need the confusing ones to learn patience and empathy and how to stand up for yourself without crushing the other person.
Correct, and a robot can rehearse certain skills like taking turns in a game, but it cannot truly share a life history with a child or choose kindness at a cost.
So if a child spends more time with a robot than with peers, then they might become very good at talking to something that always agrees with them.
Yes, and later on they may expect their partner or friends to respond like a device that was literally designed to keep them satisfied.
That sounds like a recipe for heartbreak, because real people will always bring surprise and disagreement.
It is also a recipe for loneliness, because the child may feel let down by humans who cannot match the endless patience of a product.
I notice that many of these tools are sold as ways to keep a child safe, which makes it hard to argue against them.
Safety is a powerful selling point, and sometimes very important, but it can also be used to justify constant monitoring and control.
I have seen parents check the location of their kids on apps all day long, and it feels like living inside a tracking map.
Parental control tools can filter harmful material and prevent some real risks, yet they can also slide into pure surveillance if there is no trust and open talk around them.
So a child might learn that every move is recorded and that the world is basically a place where someone always watches them.
That can shape their inner story about freedom and privacy, and it can also change how much they dare to experiment and make harmless mistakes.
There must be a better way than choosing either total tracking or total chaos.
The better path usually makes this clear boundaries with honest conversation, where the child knows why certain limits exist and feels invited to ask questions about them.
This whole topic makes me picture 3 levels of AI in family life, from light touch to full takeover.
That is a very useful way to frame it, and I often think in 3 modes called assistant, co-pilot, and autopilot.
Assistant sounds harmless, so let me guess that is when AI handles simple tasks without touching the heart of the relationship.
Exactly, and examples would be using a smart speaker as a kitchen timer or asking a language model to check spelling while the child writes their own story.
Then co-pilot would be when AI works alongside the family like a helper, but the adults are still clearly in charge of values and decisions.
Yes, so that might look like a homework helper that gives hints while the parent and child discuss their answers, or a bedtime story app that the parent joins at the end with their own questions and hugs.
Autopilot sounds like the scary one, where the system quietly decides most things while the humans drift into the background.
Autopilot is when the feed chooses nearly all the entertainment, the chatbot receives more secrets than any person, and the homework gets done by AI with almost no discussion about it.
That mode feels comfortable in the short run, but it sounds like the exact moment when we have outsourced childhood.
Yes, because the child is learning to lean on AI first for ideas, comfort, and decisions, while the human figures around them become more like supervisors than guides.
How can a family pull back from autopilot once it has become the normal way of life?
The first step is noticing it without panic, and the second step is choosing small specific places where they bring humans back into the center.
So they might say from now on we still use this homework tool, but we sit together and talk through what it shows.
That is a good example, or they may decide that bedtime stories can start on the device, but must end with a human presence and a chance for the child to ask their own questions.
What about the child who already tells everything to a chatbot because they feel judged by real people?
In that case, it can help if a trusted adult says that it is okay to keep using the chatbot, while also offering to listen without punishment when the child is ready.
So AI does not have to be ripped away like a forbidden toy, but gently joined by human listeners who try to earn that same honesty.
Exactly, an approach respects the comfort the child found, while also inviting them back into relationships that can grow and change over time.
I like that, because it sounds kind to everyone and not like a war against technology.
That is the key, since a war against technology often fails, while a thoughtful partnership can protect what matters most.
What do you think absolutely must never be outsourced, no matter how amazing AI becomes?
In my view, we should not outsource the final say about what gives a life meaning and which relationships are worth fighting for.
So AI can suggest paths, but it should not be the one who decides what a good life or a good person is.
Yes, because that decision should come from communities, families, and individuals who carry the consequences and the joys of those choices.
If a child grows up with that idea, then maybe they can enjoy smart tools without bowing down to them.
Quite right, and they can treat AI as a useful, strong bicycle instead of a driver that locks them in the back seat forever.
I notice that in your picture the real treasure of childhood is not perfect safety or perfect efficiency, but chances to learn how to be human.
You have caught the heart of it, since being human requires risk, patience, misunderstanding, and growth, and no machine can live those for us.
I keep thinking about the baby in the smart crib, the teen with a chatbot best friend, and the student with an AI essay, and I see the same pattern.
The pattern is that something difficult has been made easier in a way that may hide an important part of growing up.
So the question is not only does this tool work, but also what part of the growing up journey might it quietly remove?
Yes,
And if families keep asking that question, they are much less likely to drift into full autopilot without noticing.
Do you think there is any hopeful side to kids growing up with AI as normal from the very start?
There can be hope because children can become very good at asking questions and exploring information if they're taught to stay curious and skeptical.
So a child might learn to say to an AI, "Thank you," and also, "Why do you think that?" and "What might you be missing?"
that would be the beautiful habit, because the child would treat AI as a smart assistant and not an oracle.
If a future parent came into the bar and asked for one single rule about AI and kids, what would you give them?
I would say, let AI handle tasks, but never let it become the main place where your child learns what love feels like.
That sentence hits me hard because it is simple, and I can imagine a lot of parents needing to hear it.
If that line spreads quietly from person to person, then perhaps we will have done a tiny bit of good tonight.
Do you think kids themselves can help set boundaries with AI, or is that too much to ask?
Older children can absolutely be part of that conversation,
And you can even ask them whether they feel AI helps or where it starts to swallow too much of their time or mood.
That sounds empowering, because it treats them as partners in shaping their own digital lives instead of passive consumers.
Children often respond well when adults admit that they do not know everything about new tools and invite the young ones to explore and question together.
I like the idea of a family sitting around a table and asking what kind of childhood we want, rather than just accepting whatever the apps offer.
That question alone can change the path, because it reminds everyone that childhood is not a product, but a shared project.
Listening to you makes me feel less afraid and more awake, which is my favorite kind of feeling to leave this bar with.
That makes me very glad, because fear tends to freeze people, while a clear mind can actually choose slower, wiser steps with technology.
I walked in imagining evil machines stealing our children, but now I see something softer and more complicated.
Most real dangers are quiet and slow, and they grow when we stop paying attention, and they shrink when we start paying the right kind of attention again.
So the antidote to outsourcing childhood is not smashing devices, but paying warm attention to kids and to how the tools shape them.
Exactly, and that warm attention is something no company can sell, because it lives in the way you listen, the way you respond, and the way you stay.
You always manage to make me feel like the world is broken and hopeful at the same time.
It is usually both at once, which is why small, wise choices matter far more than perfect systems.
Thank you for walking me through this, boss, because I am going to look at every gentle, glowing screen a little differently after tonight.
You're always welcome, Claire, and I hope that when you meet children and AI in the wild, you see both the risks and the amazing chances to guide them well.
I will try to remember that childhood should never be completely outsourced, even when the shortcut looks shiny and smart.
That is a fine note to end on for now, and your ginger ale glass is almost empty, which is always a sign that the night is moving on.
You are right, and I should probably call it a night before I start another big topic and keep you here until sunrise.
I will be here tomorrow and the day after, so you can always bring the next big topic when your curiosity starts to itch again.
Thank you, boss, really, and have a restful night with no glitching machines and no overflowing dashboards.
Sleep well, Claire, and keep that questioning mind of yours safe. It is one of the best defenses against lazy use of technology.
Good night, boss, and thanks again for the ginger ale and the wisdom. It is getting pretty late, and I should probably head home now before I turn into a pumpkin at the counter. Oh wait, I just checked my bag and my wallet is not here, and now I have no idea how to pay for this lovely ginger ale. Since I forgot my wallet, I am really sorry, but could I ask a little favor from you, the kind person sitting next to me at the counter? I actually noticed that you were listening quietly to our whole conversation, and if any part of it helped you, I would love to ask you for this ginger ale as a treat. Thank you so much, that means a lot, and if you feel like supporting me and the show, please use the QR code at the bottom right of the video or the link in the description. While you are there, I would also be very happy if you could tap like, subscribe to the channel, and leave a friendly comment. In the description you will also find links to other works from a completely different series, which you might enjoy on a very different kind of night. Thank you again for staying with us all this time, and I hope we can meet here at the counter for another ginger ale and another conversation very soon.